Hello, everybody, and welcome to You Can't Sit With Us.
Hello.
I'm Hexus.
I'm
That is
Akia.
Akia. And
And I'm Mother Delamort.
You may notice some new additions.
guys, at the very end of this broadcast, we have some news to talk about, to show, and then we'll get to that. But it'll be at the very end of the broadcast.
Yes.
So,
But pay attention, stay tuned.
pay attention, stay tuned. Second to last show of the season. And I threw my voice out last night.
Yeah, but you guys had a great time. Why don't you tell our viewers where you went last night?
Oh God! So
Fucking
we went to go
Midnight.
see Midnight and Necrophire, and God, what was the other band's name? I loved them.
Something mood.
It
It was something mood.
it wasn't like Fairy Mood, was it?
The Moody Blues?
I think it was Fairy Mood.
It might have
Hey,
been Fairy
East Coast
Mood.
Hunters.
No joke.
Hey, I would see the Moody Blues. I like them.
Hey, Calvin.
You know, believe it or not, I only like about one or two songs by the Moody Blues.
But the problem
I
is
was listening to them earlier.
they do the same thing that we do. You know, they're like, hey, you want to hear Nights in White Satin? You got to sit through the whole show.
Yeah, right?
Because I do like Nights in White Satin, and I will sit through.
It's
the
one of my
Moody Blues
favorites.
shows. Yeah.
One of my favorites.
No, so dude, that show was so rad. So the first band kind of had this like Black Sabbath pentagram kind of feel to them. In fact, they had opened for Candlemass recently,
Oh, Candlemass is so
and
good.
they actually opened for Pentagram recently,
Yeah.
like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then
They're very much. I think they are Fairly Moods or whatever. What they're called. But they were very mumuch a Pentagram clone. They're real
they
sludgy.
were great. I loved them.
Real sludgy, clean rock and roll vocals, but
was
the music was
good.
it's like what would happen if Black Sabbath came out today. That's that sound. So
Oh yeah,
it wasn't too bad.
I loved it.
So,
And
so
then-
my question to Akia was, when are they going to sing War Pigs?
I don't know, but that would be rad.
Generals gathered in their masses.
Wasn't that how I
Just
responded?
like witches at black masses.
Isn't that how I responded too?
It was, exactly.
And then Necrophire. Oh my God,
Yeah.
they were good. And I accidentally insulted the bassist. Like I walked up. We
I had
had
to buy
just
a
bought a
record because
bunch
of
of we had just bought a bunch of Midnight stuff. And I walked up when he went to the car to put stuff away, and I was like, I want that skull. I was like, I just want that skull, man. And he was looking at me. I was like, look, my husband has the money, and he just walked off right now. So
No, say it
I
right.
can't get anything. So
Say it right.
I don't know what you mean.
Daddy's got the money. He'll be back in
Oh,
a second.
gross.
So that's nasty to say that way.
Gross.
I was like,
Nadine,
hey guys. So
East Coast Hunters.
what's going to happen here, just like everything else, this is our podcast side of things. We will get to comments when we
Yeah,
get to
but
them.
as they're coming in right now, and we're just
Unless you
shooting
wanna-
the shit.
But
Unless you pay us
first,
money.
and it didn't do it.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
It works.
Why is it so low?
Do you have your I think there is a volume for the sound effects too.
But
Add volume.
I was gonna say one more thing.
Sorry.
The main
I
band
squirreled.
of the night, Midnight.
Midnight.
And man, they put on such a good
They
show.
actually
Also, if you guys have not heard of Midnight, Hexus and I have actually interviewed Athenar from Midnight. That was
Athnar the Brown Bombers, what it says on his
That was a great interview, too.
that was our first like huge interview with a band, and it was like 6 a.m, and we were
Okay.
exhausted, but you know what? It worked.
Look, we're all a bunch of punks and metalheads, right? Like, so he hazed us is what happened.
Oh yeah.
That's what that's the whole reason why he did. Like, he's all, it was him we were talking directly to, but it was I know he still to this day was like saying that no, That's our.
It was Jarvis.
It was Jarvis. I was like,
Or
Jarvis.
some name
It
like
was
that.
something
I
along
don't
those
know.
lines. I was like, that's an Iron Man thing. I was like, we were talking directly to Athnar when we were like getting the interview going,
Right?
and then it was like I was like later on I was like he was seeing how cool we were and how much we wanted that interview, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like because we did that, especially like afterwards, he's like, you can call us anytime. And like
It was a great interview, and you guys can find it on our YouTube.
He's a good guy. Like he's a really like really good front man. The entire band is just energetic. And it's crazy because last night we were sitting there and like we're in the pub, and because it was at a very fancy pub here in town called Timbler Brewing Company. The food there is amazing. The beers are good, and I was looking around and like Ashley, Akia's friend that's hanging out with us right now, and her son, we were all talking, and they're like, why is your head on the swivel right now? I was like, Midnight doesn't ever show their faces. I was like, I know Slipknot was going by that for a long time, but then never wanted to show their face. I was like, Midnight refuses to show their face. To this day, they won't show their face. And I was like, I know. And mind you, there's a group of people sitting right next to us. And I was like, I know what Athnar, I know he has a shaved head somewhat, and I know he's somewhat short.
I'm gonna laugh if he does not have a shaved head.
No, he does. He does. And I was like, and they're like, so they're what? I was like, they're gonna be coming out here to get food and beers. I was like, without their mask on. I was like, I can clearly tell by their body size and stuff like that who it is. And the guys next to us kept looking over at us. Well, all of a sudden later that night when we got home, and because the drummer was playing, doing his thing, and I looked up there at him. One of the guys next to me had half sleeves on both of his arms. The drummer had the exact same half sleeves, and I was like, motherfucker! I was like, I knew it. I knew they were sitting there the whole time, and that's why they kept looking at us when I kept saying I'm trying to see who they are because I know roughly what they look like.
They were being super secret squirrel.
They were being funny as fuck.
They were great. They were
Well, and can I go back just a little bit, not to interrupt you, but to make a little bit of a clarification about like us older punks and metalheads. So once you hit the age of 30, 35, it is perfectly acceptable to drink good beer at a heavy metal concert. Before that, it must be skank beer, and the room must smell like vomit and teen sweat.
Can we at least put an apology out there for all of us who and I'm pretty all of us here are the reason we're the reason why Pabst Blue Ribbon is so goddamn expensive right now because we glorified it in the alleyways and everywhere. All the new hipsters, all these kids.
It was just like 99 cents back then, so we drank it.
That's the point. We were
well,
like, we were
or do you remember the white label? It just said beer.
Yeah.
Old E,
Steel
Old
Reserve.
English.
Although I still like Mickey's, I will drink I will still drink a Mickey's.
Nadine, I cannot drink Pabst Blue Ribbon anymore. I can't. I did my time. I'm sorry. I've done my time. I put my time in as a metalhead, and I am never going back to Pabst Blue Ribbon ever.
We can drink micro beers now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had a great time, and then I was going out to the car, and there's this asshole skinhead, and I mean like the ones
about that old school like
Nazi skinhead. Is
not yeah. When I say old school, I don't mean old school. I mean old school.
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm walking out to the car, and he starts kind of like talking and flirting with me, and I was like, yeah, cool, whatever. I was like, I'm sweating.
Not interested.
Here, and I was being polite while still shutting him down. And
right.
I walk away, and I can hear him from the car saying that he refuses to listen to that first band because it had an African-American lead singer.
Yeah. The Fairly Moods or whatever they're called. His vocals were amazing. And I was like,
has he never heard of the Bad Brains? Oh my God.
I know.
It's just every show has that. There's always one asshole in the back.
Yeah, there's always going to be that element. Yeah.
I walked, they were outside smoking or whatever, and I walked back by, and I was like, you guys really should go in and listen to them because they're pretty fucking badass.
Eazy-E said it best. He did. When they were protesting NWA, He actually said it. He's all, I don't care. They bought the records. They can do whatever they want with them. That guy bought a ticket to see all. It doesn't matter. You can't say anything. This portion of this money
Very
right here
true.
is only gonna go to midnight. Don't ever give it to
Very
those other bands because they have people of color in them. It's like, dude, you're a fucking moron. You bought the ticket to get in. You've already paid for it. You might as well go in there. Just sit in the back and shut up.
The
Exactly.
best part is that hold on. I'm actually gonna do this real fast.
What are you doing?
I am looking up the name. Early Moods.
Early Moods. There you go.
So the best part about Early Moods, at least for Ash and I, is that they're from our area.
Yeah.
They were from Whittier Pico area. And like we were talking, so the dad was running one of the dads, like the dad of the bassist, I think, was running the merch booth.
Yeah.
And so we started talking to him and we were like, oh, we're from Whittier. You know, I moved up here a while ago. She's up here for a little while. And he's all, really? We're from Pico. And like, we got into this whole thing and we're both like, we all fist bumped, like, LA, man. Yeah. Woo. And I was like, good luck. And I told him, I said, the thing that I love about your son's band pictures and everything like that is they have that 70s Sabbath vibe in all of the, like in their cover photos.
Right.
And like them sitting up against a wall and them walking down the street, like the way that it was rad. And they had
it was very retro, sort of.
Yeah. And they had some shirts that had like that cross that was similar to the old Sabbath stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just digging it. And then both Ash and I were vibing.
I like them.
We were listening and we're just like, yeah.
Musically, they're awesome. But me, I am not. The only Black Sabbath I'm a fan of is Black Sabbath with Dio. Because Dio is when they actually truly did become metal and truly did become evil.
Oh, that's lovely.
That's the real Black Sabbath.
Well, see, and I can't say anything because even though, as I was told, you consider Ozzy kind of a buffoon, which I would agree, he's a buffoon.
Well, my thing with
I can't say anything about Dio either because I absolutely loved him.
Yeah. Oh God.
I remember those days.
Hell, man, heaven and hell is just.
My thing with Ozzy is when people were like, this is back in the early 2000s, and people were saying that Ozzy Osbourne was being taken advantage by Sharon Osbourne, and I was like, I literally was getting arguments with people. I was like, no, he's not being taken advantage of by Sharon Osbourne. This man, I was like, he is a very nice man. He's a very gentle, very good person. He cheated on her all the time and did a ton of drugs and embarrassed her all the time, and this person stuck with him. And when he finally, I think he got kicked out of Black Sabbath, I think for his drug use and stuff like that. I could be wrong. I can't remember that part of it.
I can't remember that. I mean, I remember. I remember the King Biscuit Flower Hour, and they used to be on there. Now, grant you, I was very young, but I remember them being on there. And then by the time I hit, the age to really get into rock and metal and things like that, he was already, his own entity.
Oh yeah. Well, with Ozzy, I was like, he did all this stuff to her and she stuck with him. You know what? She has every right to make a ton of millions off of him right now. I'm sorry. She stuck with him. Her father is the reason why he had a career after Black Sabbath. That Sharon Osbourne literally is. And it was like, that's fine by me with her to do this stuff. Even I think they are legally divorced right now, but they just stay together. So,
are you serious? See, and I love going back, like when I don't have anything to do and watch some of the old episodes of the Osbournes. They absolutely cracked me up.
They were good.
They were very good. Especially when Okay, well that wasn't cool. But the time that he had the remote control to all the smart devices in his house and he was trying to turn on the TV and he kept turning on the shower upstairs. And he was like, Sharon!
My step grandma, if you want to call her that. That's a weird way to say it, but I usually just call her my grandma.
Well, she's your only grandma that you've known until recently. So.
No, step, not adopted. Step.
Oh, okay.
my stepfather's mother.
Okay.
She loved Ozzy and she loved the Osbournes. And it was so funny. Here she was, like in her 70s, like sporting Ozzy stuff and the Osbourne stuff, and she'd watch it religiously. And
Of course, she probably remembers Black Sabbath. She was probably, a little bit of a wild child at some point.
Oh, let me just put it this way. She had her eyebrows tattooed on. She had her lip liner tattooed on. She had eyeliner tattooed on.
Know why Grandma had plastic on her couch?
Oh, God.
Because Grandma
Because Ted Kaczynski was going to be there. There's the segue.
I was going to use the Mickeys.
Let me, though, say one thing, and I did figure it out. Okay, so when Aka and Frank approached me about what we're going to kind of get into tonight, and as far as Ted Kaczynski and all that kind of stuff, in my rattled brain, 1 cup coffee that morning, was thinking that they were talking about, see, I've done forgotten it again. David Berkowitz, because they both end in wits.
Yeah, they're both.
And I was like, the son of Sam died? And I looked everywhere and I couldn't find it. And I was like, oh no, we've been hoaxed.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that
Berkowitz is still alive.
No, that Ted Kaczynski died. While I was doing the notes here, I was like,
yeah.
I was just like, I remember us covering it on Roots Bleed Red a long, long time ago, and then I was like, why are we doing this again? And I was like, oh yeah, he died. That's why we're doing this, and this is also because it's just awesome to cover this stuff,
So
and Air Bunnies, he committed suicide.
Air Bunnies. So here's
Air
what we
Bunnies.
start with. As of was it yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
2 days ago.
The 11th. The 11th.
Yes.
As of the 11th, Unabomber Theodore Ted Kaczynski has died by suicide at age 81. Ted Kaczynski
was he friends with the Clintons?
That's what I was wondering.
it's like seriously, like he was also in a federal prison too, right?
Yeah.
Max. A max security.
So what did he know?
Yeah. So
well, we're gonna get into that.
MK Ultra.
There is some MK Ultra element.
MK Ultra.
Yes.
So the Harvard-educated mathematician who retreated to a dingy shack in the Montana wilderness and ran a 17-year bombing campaign that killed 3 people and injured 23 others, died by suicide. 4 people familiar with the matter told the Associated Press.
I wonder what someone found that got back, and then they were like, well, I think it's about time for him to commit suicide, right?
Do you think maybe it could have been a comment, I don't know, that went something like, I'm 81 years old. I don't have that much more time on the planet, so I'm going to tell everybody everything I know.
Possibly.
Kaczynski, who was 81 and suffered from late-stage cancer, was found unresponsive in his cell at the Federal Medical Center in Butner, North Carolina, around 12:30 a.m. on Saturday.
Wasn't he also...
Emergency responders performed CPR and revived him before he was transported to a hospital, where he was pronounced dead later Saturday morning. They were not authorized to publicly discuss Kaczynski's death and spoke to the Associated Press on the condition of anonymity. Kaczynski's death comes as the Federal Bureau of Prisons has faced increased scrutiny in the last several years following the death of Jeffrey Epstein, who also died by suicide in a federal jail.
So they responded by suiciding him. We're under scrutiny right now because of what happened to Epstein. We better hurry up and suicide Kaczynski here, because we're gonna miss our chance.
So the man that was branded the Unabomber by the FBI died at the Federal Prison Medical Center in Butner, North Carolina. He was found unresponsive, like I said, and he was pronounced dead at 8 a.m.
So how exactly did he supposedly suicide himself?
I'm not finding.
He fell on a bullet, probably.
Right?
Of course, stupid me.
Slipped on a rope and accidentally hung
Silly
himself.
rabbit.
All I could think of is the tree huger bomber.
I was thinking of the entire time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, mother, we got to show you the tree huger bomber from your.
Like,
Pretty
is this
Faces
for
Going to
real?
Hell. This is real.
Yes.
It's on Your
Well,
Pretty
it's-
Faces Going to Hell.
Oh,
The
I
links
thought
that I
this was
sent
something
you-
like off of I don't know, Adult Swim or something.
It is Adult Swim, yeah.
Basically, yeah. He,
No, it
is. Okay.
The joke is that he can't spell, and he wasn't really that.
He's dyslexic too.
Yeah, he was dyslexic, and he's not that intelligent, and he moved out into a shack, and he had like a girlfriend made of like straw with a picture cut out of a magazine that he'd like kiss all the time.
Can you bring up East Coast Haunters? They clean up a aisle. That's hilarious. Maybe actually Nadine's the Mickey's. Maybe it was a Mickey's grenade that got him. That's probably what it was. They sent him a real grenade opposed to like I guess whatever his preference was.
Versus an Irish car bomb.
Yes. Oh, they couldn't do the Irish car bomb. They only needed to suicide one person.
So
True.
do you want to start with the psychological evaluation?
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. So the psychological evaluation of Theodore Kaczynski. Dr. Sally C. Johnson's psychological report describes Theodore Kaczynski, the confessed Unabomber, as a man whose early brilliance was ruined by paranoid schizophrenia. Johnson made her evaluation after interviewing Kaczynski, his family, and people who knew him, analyzing psychological tests and studying and studying the Unabomber's journals, which document over 40 years of his life. She cites an almost total absence of interpersonal relationships and delusional thinking involving being controlled by modern technology as examples of his illness.
It was Skynet. It was Skynet that they couldn't let out that Skynet is real and that Ted Kaczynski was fighting Skynet the entire time, and now Skynet had to suicide him.
Whoops.
Well, and you know the odd thing about it is that if you read up a lot of when he was younger, now granted he didn't have a lot of the same issues that a lot of serial killers have as far as like mommy or daddy issues, but there may have been some issues with the fact that when he was extremely young, like infant age, when they are learning those attachments to parents, he came down with a bad case of hives and had to stay in the hospital for a really long time.
Wasn't there a
and
fever involved too?
There was a high fever involved, and even the mother, and it may be deeper in these notes, was like he didn't come back right, not necessarily right, but he was very quiet for an infant and just withdrawn. In other words, he probably didn't have a lot of interaction during that pivotal time when a newborn is creating those bonds.
Yeah.
So but he was, and I know the one that you're talking about because this particular like assessment of him, I think, was made in like while he was in court, right? I mean, like in jail.
This was actually made while he was already in prison.
Yeah.
Already in prison. That's what I'm
thinking. The schizophrenia didn't come out until
the
after.
report was the 16th of January in '98.
Right.
So Kaczynski, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say too, Dahmer had the same thing happen to him roughly, or same type of thing happened to him. I know Jeffrey Dahmer went into hospital because of the when he was a baby or kid because of the whatchamacallit, the hernia surgery. And they said when he came out of the hernia surgery, he was completely different. Completely different.
Right. Something to do with the anesthesiologist.
It could have been stuff like that. Honestly, using a different cocktail back then than what they use now. And it affected certain kids and stuff like that.
So, Kaczynski increasingly withdrew from society as he grew older, and his journals reflect a feeling of social alienation, suspicion, and anger that he found hard to express. The report says one of his motives for writing the journals was that he intended to kill people and did not want society to think that he was mentally ill. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in San Francisco ruled that the psychiatric report should be made public in order to provide a better understanding of the Unabomber's motivations. Forensic evaluation name, Kaczynski Theodore John. Docket number, CRS 9625GEB. Date of birth, 5/22/42. And the date of this report, 1/16/98.
I was 17 years old. I was only 17. He was only 7. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I already know. So, identifying information. Theodore John Kaczynski is a 55-year-old single white male currently housed in pretrial status at the Sacramento County Jail in Sacramento, California.
Only my state would word it like that.
Right. He was most recently residing in Lincoln, Montana. On January 9th, 1997, the Honorable Garland D. Burrell Jr., United States District Court Judge for the Eastern District of California.
Garland D. Burrell?
Yes.
That's a nifty name right there.
Issued an order that Mr. Kaczynski be examined by Bureau of Prisons physicians and others authorized by such physicians to assist in the study and examination to determine his mental capacity to stand trial. So he was in jail, but he was pre-trial.
Oh, okay.
The order further indicated that the examining physicians are authorized to access all pertinent medical and collateral information, including psychiatric and medical records and psychological testing. The examination was ordered to commence on January 12, 1998. On January 12, 1998, Judge Burrell issued a supplemental order for Dr. Sally Johnson to travel to Sacramento to conduct the examination of the defendant at the Sacramento County Jail. The order outlined that Dr. Johnson should prepare a report of the examination of the defendant pursuant to the provisions of 18 U.S. Code sections 4247B and C. The examination should include the defendant's history and present syndromes, a description of the tests employed and the results, the examiner's findings, and the examiner's opinions as to diagnosis, prognosis, and whether the defendant is suffering from a mental disease or deficit, rendering him mentally incompetent to the extent that he is unable to understand the nature of the consequences of the proceedings against him or to assist properly in his own defense. Copies of the report were ordered to be provided to the court, counseling for the defendant and the government by 7 p.m. on January 16th, 1998.
And he was pissed about this.
Oh,
he was super pissed about this. He wanted to get rid of his lawyers too, because of this, because they were wanting to go down that road. And he was like, absolutely not. I am a genius. And no one will think of me as crazy.
Exactly. Because they thought of him as crazy, then no one would take him seriously with everything that he did. That was like, oh, he was just a crazy serial killer. That's all he was doing.
I mean, the guy was wanting to get rid of his lawyer so that he could, of course, like so many others, represent himself. But he was going to use his manifesto to prove his innocence and the reasoning for why he did what he did.
Even though his manifesto literally said, I want to kill people.
What did he say? That it was 80%? If he was going to use the insanity plea, his lawyers had to confirm and guarantee that it was going to be like over 80% guarantee that it was going to work for him.
Well, I mean, him talking about the socio-political order that subjugates human needs beneath its own, and the system that he wanted to that destroys nature and suppresses individual freedom. But yeah, he was totally competent to stand trial.
Yeah, can I just say this one thing about that? And I am a very leave me the hell alone and let me just do my own thing. And that's kind of how I am. Yeah, pretty much.
Very much fans
Ted
of free speech.
Very much, and of the leave me the hell alone, let me do my own thing.
Exactly.
but the Unabomber was extremely smart. I mean, he had what was a 167 IQ test, higher than Kemper,
higher than Alkali, I think.
and he was right around there with
You said
was it
Alkali?
Fisher? Fisher, the one that was the supreme like chess player.
Oh yeah, and he turned out to be a just racist. Dude.
Yes, but he had a very high IQ.
Yeah,
But and I know that they Bobby Fischer, and I know they say there's a very fine.
He was actually equal to Alkali.
Okay.
Alkali, okay. You know, they say there's a very fine line in between those. You know, when it comes to like being extremely smart or being extremely crazy.
Yeah.
But the thing is he had no understanding of history, of actual history. He's sitting there and he is blaming the industrial movement and the industrial revolution for all these horrible things and completely ignores, I don't know, the Middle Ages, serfdom, slavery under like Egyptian pharaohs, when people didn't have medication, so therefore they would just die of like a infected tooth. So you know, he had no understanding of that. Well, it didn't serve his purpose.
We were talking. I was talking to our friend
Nathan Leopold.
I was talking to our friend's son last night.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about black metal, you know, and like we were talking about the whole Count Grishnock thing being, you know, killing Euronymous, and then the lead singer dead. These are all the members of Burzum and Mayhem, and the lead singer dead, killing himself, and Euronymous basically pushing him to do it. And I was like, look, man, I was like, what it comes down to is that Grishnock, Euronymous, and Dead, all of them are great musicians. They're absolutely out of there. They were out of their fucking minds. They were. I mean, Grishnock still to this day is just out of his mind with the stuff he does. But his music, he's a great singer, and his music and his he has his own role playing game, and like it's phenomenal. Like he's just good at it, but he's just nuts.
I still.
He's a horrible human being. Well, there's a lot of them. I mean, Lovecraft was a horrible racist for the most part, even though he contradicted his.
Yeah.
And even though he contradicted himself in a lot of that, you know.
Well, towards the end.
I would say that not to go off on a tangent on or this, but I think it's I'm saying for myself not to go on it. I'm telling myself do not go on a tangent on this, so we can move along here. I'm sorry, but I think with H.P. Lovecraft, it was more the fact that he was super agoraphobic too. That I
think that had a lot to play in it. But you always notice with people that tend to judge other people, and I'm just going to say back then he was extremely judgy. They didn't use the word racist back then because Victorians in general were very judgy. Yes. But it's funny when you run into people like that, because they will be like that until they get to know somebody and they're like, well, I'm talking about everybody else but you.
Exactly.
I'm like, man, that is so inconsistent. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna like get into the subject of it, but I have this friend who I've known forever since high school, and she was going off about everybody who supports this is a racist and a xenophobe and blah 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 and a bigot.
I send a message to her.
And she gets a message from Hexus over here. Well, you know, one of your best friends supports that. Oh, well, she's different.
Oh, it doesn't count for her.
She doesn't count.
And then I was like, well, what about me? And she's like, well, you just have all this toxic masculinity and all this other stuff. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? like I heard that. I called Liz up. I was like, I'm sorry. I called I'm sorry. I called her up because I was at work, and I was like, okay, I'm taking such and such off my Facebook because I don't do politics. I don't do all this other stuff anymore because of this. And I was like, it's exactly what you're saying. It's the whole, well, she's my friend, so she doesn't count. But you're not my friend, so you're a terrible person.
In other words, I mean, if you're going to be a horrible, judgy person, at least commit to it. You know what I'm saying? At least people know where they stand with you. So I can say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to have you around.
Like, don't speak around or whatever and run around points. Actually, just be on the spot and tell us the truth right then and there, and then it's done.
Exactly. Well, and that's kind of like the Unabomber. I mean, he had his own. What is the word I'm looking for? Where he blamed like the whole Industrial Revolution for society's problems, and I'm sorry, that's just silly. It's absolutely silly. But I think that there are reasonings for that go outside of his own control in some ways. And I know we're going to get into that.
So some of the stuff like I was listening to earlier today, it was like the last podcast on the left, and I sent you the links on those too, on Mother. But it like they were saying in there that it was actually more like they were making jokes about how like it was probably because he was around, the Weather Underground and all this other stuff, and he politically Ted Kaczynski is on the right, like he actually is. Again,
Gacy was the left.
Gacy was the left. Ted Bundy was the right-leaning guy.
I mean, it doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. These people were.
It's facts. It's known.
Yeah.
I think Ted Kaczynski, he was a supporter of whatever helped to build the ideas in his head.
Maybe this time. Well, he wasn't. I mean, he never said it was a Republican. Maybe he was our first libertarian. That'd be great, right?
No.
But
well, okay. So on January 13th, 1998, Judge Burrell issued an additional order which directed that trial counsel for the defendant were to provide Dr. Johnson with copies of each of the letters admitted to the court under seal by the defendant and all of the transcripts of ex parte and in-camera hearings. Of these materials were included in the competency report if these materials were included in the competency report, that aspect of the report would not immediately be given to the government. Rather, the government would be provided the opportunity to petition the court for the access to access the excluded materials for later date. The trial judge and the defendant's counsel would be given a copy of the competency report in its entirety. In accordance with these orders, the psychiatric evaluation was conducted between January 12th, 98 and January 16th, 98. The indictment filed on June 18th, 1996, Mr. Kaczynski was charged with violations of, as mentioned before, 18 U.S. Code, Section 844D, transportation of an explosive with intent to kill or injure, 4 counts. 18 U.S. Code, Section 1716, mailing an explosive device in an attempt to kill or injure, 3 counts.
Oh yeah, he was first investigated by the U.S. Postal Service.
Before
he went over to the feds.
And 18 U.S. Code Section 1924C1, use of a destructive device in relation to a crime of violence, 3 counts. These charges involved use of an explosive device to kill Hugh Scruton on or about December 11th, 85. The use of an explosive device that injured Dr. Charles Epstein on or about June 22nd, 93. The use of an explosive device to injure Dr. David Glettner on or about June 24th, 93. And the use of an explosive device to kill Gilbert B. Murray on or about April 24th, 95. Mr. Kaczynski is represented by federal defenders Quinn Denver, Judy Clark, and Gary Soward. Special attorney to the U.S. Attorney General assigned to this case are Robert J. Cleary, Stephen P.
Oh no! Sorry,
Fershero,
I thought you were going to say. I thought I was
R. Stephen Lapham, Bernard F. Hubley, and J. Douglas Wilson.
I thought we were going to be like Stephen P. Kitty Cat. Really?
What?
Now he's Moneybags and the lawyer.
Yes. Yeah, just remember, don't mess around with Stephen P. Kitty Cat.
He will
take you out.
He has the money.
Well, and the thing about it, I mean, all these maimings and all these half misses and all these, partial explosions, these weren't because of luck or anything. Well, I guess they would be because of luck, but this was generally, well, that's true. Him just trying to perfect his bomb making ability. So he would have had no problem if it would have killed all these people. Because it was in the name of what his work was about, what his manifesto was about, what he was trying to bring about, which was instability in society to bring the whole thing crashing down.
So what I'm going to do here.
Can I stop you real fast? I just want to tell a story about the bomb that was actually lucky for the guy.
Well, I was going to say, if you guys want to look this up, it's Paul.
Oh, go ahead.
PAULCOOIJMANS.com. And because I honestly, it gets into a whole lot of legal jargon. So I would rather go to the next part of our notes.
Oh, I was going to say, okay. So the lucky bomb was the one that, what was it? It was like a weird handle. He sent this like weird handle.
He used, if it's the one I'm thinking about, he used the powder for the explosive was actually what was used for fireworks, and he used the wrong incendiary device. And so therefore it just like kind of smoked and.
Oh, okay. So there's two of them there. There's two. Okay, so there's that one. Yeah, I think the guy thought it was more of a prank than anything else. It wasn't
right.
Then there's the second one. So he made this weird handle or something like that on the package. Right when the guy grabbed it, it set off the bomb. Well, it blew off his fingers, all this other stuff. The guy ended up living, I think. Yeah, he lived.
Yeah, a lot of them lived. I think the one you're talking about was his first one, and it was a pipe bomb. And rather than using the metal, like threaded ends, he used wooden like slugs, so to speak, just to block off the ends, and it couldn't build the pressure up within the bomb. Yeah. So it just kind of went through.
Had like a small tank of gas in there, and what he messed up on. The lucky part was the guy was saying that it could have been a million times worse because he didn't leave enough room for air in the tank. He filled it all the way full, so the tank didn't go off. But if he left room for air in there, it would have killed him.
Yeah, it pretty much, I think, just blew up the box. The box just kind of went poof. So, but all that was him just perfecting his bomb making skills.
Yeah. Well, when they caught him, he was ready to mail out another bomb within a couple days, is what they were suspecting, and he was already on the way to building a new one too.
Right.
So are there notes or?
Huh?
What do you?
Yeah, I know. I'm doing something real fast.
Oh, sorry.
So wonder if I can actually find it. Dang it. So, by the way, the manifesto he has is you sent this, and it doesn't actually have it.
Oh, I thought it did.
So, the name of his manifesto is Industrial Society and Its Future.
There is someone that reads a piece of it because it is very it's
about 35,000 words long.
Yeah.
And don't get it on Amazon, guys. There are free copies out there everywhere on the internet. I'm trying to see if there is maybe a reference down here in the references. You found it?
I found it on, well, I can not post it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Could you run it across the ticker?
I don't. We're on Facebook right now. So
I gotcha. I would like Facebook.
I feel like we might get in trouble here.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Just posting information about the Unabomber, huh?
I feel like there's a part in here. Okay, look, this is a very long thing. I cannot read the entire thing for you guys. Yeah. But I am going to try to pick out some key points.
Oh, there it is. External links. Full manifesto.
Yeah. So, do you want
There's
me to
even a mobile-friendly version.
Okay, I'm going to do...
You can just read a couple of the lines.
Introduction. The
Just read what-
Psychology of Modern Leftism.
That's a lot.
And
We're gonna be here all night.
a few parts of Feelings of Inferiority.
Honestly, if you just read a couple lines, it would actually probably it would still show his insanity. Just how nuts he was.
And can we go back, because I do want to make a statement against his reference to leftism, because I don't think he was conservative either.
No, I'm not saying he was fully,
because I think he got kind of pulled into during this time. Okay, kind of before we get going, there was a big movement because he was teaching at Harvard, if I'm not mistaken, in 1967, the summer of love, hippies and all that kind of stuff. And so a lot of people seem to think that he wasn't so much being taken away by his environment. In other words, some people may become like social terror. What's the word I'm looking for? Environmental terrorists, things like that, because of certain movements that may be going on during a certain time, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't seem to think that Ted Kaczynski was in any way affected by that. But I have to disagree. I have to disagree with Dan Cummings. As much as I love Time Suck, I have to disagree with him on that, because there was a huge movement during the 60s and 70s called Back to the Land movement.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what he did. And it relied on self-sufficiency, autonomy, social reform, land reform. Some of them got into war efforts, counterculture, religious separatists, all this kind of stuff. But they all had to kind of do with kind of a socialist idea of how society should work. And so therefore, I want to say that he can say he was a conservative all he wants, because I think he even makes reference to it in his manifesto at some point, if I'm not mistaken.
In fact,
but that's just another thing that conflicts, like his words versus his actions.
Okay, so here we go. I'm actually going to say, and let me just clarify, this is some hateful shit. Okay?
Yeah.
Absolutely hateful.
He was a hateful man.
But when we, this is his view, Ted Kaczynski's view on leftism. And I'm only going to read part of this. But what is leftism? During the first half of the 20th century, leftism could have been practically identified with socialism. Today, the movement is fragmented, and it is not clear who can properly be called a leftist. When we speak of leftists in this article, we have in mind mainly socialist, collectivists, political correct types, feminists, gay and disability activists, animal rights activists, and the like. But not everyone who is associated with one of these movements is a leftist. What we are trying to get at in discussing leftism is not so much movement or an ideology as a psychological type, or rather a collection of related types. Thus, what we mean by leftism will emerge more clearly in the course of our discussion of leftist psychology. Even so, our concept of leftism will remain a good deal less clear than we would wish, but there doesn't seem to be any remedy for this. All we are trying to do here is indicate in rough and approximate way the two psychological tendencies that we believe are the main driving force of modern leftism. We by no means claim to be telling the whole truth about leftist psychology. Also, our discussion is meant to apply to modern leftism only. We leave open the question of the extent to which our discussion could be applied to the leftists of the 19th and early 20th centuries. The two psychological tendencies that underlie modern leftism we call feelings of inferiority or over-socialization. Feelings of inferiority are characteristic of modern leftism as a whole, while over-socialization is characteristic of only a certain segment of modern leftism, but this segment is highly influential.
Yeah, he was a terrible fucking person.
See, and this goes back to what I was saying, to where you have these people that will be horribly judgy to people until they either A, get to know someone and they're like, well, that applies to everybody but that person. or they're doing the very same thing that they're accusing other people of, and their specific
Exactly.
motivations for hurting people. It makes
Yeah.
absolutely no sense.
So here, this is the part that we were mentioning earlier. I am skipping around a little bit because
Yeah.
we were talking about leftism on there and his interpretation thereof. But there's the introduction. The Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. They have generally increased the life expectancy of those of us who live in advanced countries, but they have destabilized society, have made life unfulfilling, have subjected human beings to indignities, have led to widespread psychological suffering, in the third world to physical suffering as well, and have inflicted severe damage on the natural world. The continued development of technology will worsen the situation. It will certainly subject human beings to greater indignities and inflict greater damage on the natural world. It will probably lead to greater social disruption and psychological suffering. And it may lead to increased physical suffering, even in advanced countries. The industrial technological system may survive or it may break down. If it survives, it may eventually achieve a low level of physical and psychological suffering, but only after passing through a long and very painful period of adjustment, and only at the cost of permanently reducing human beings and many other living organisms to engineered products and mere cogs in the social machine. Furthermore, if the system survives, the consequences will be inevitable. There is no way of reforming or modifying the system so as to prevent it from depriving people of dignity and autonomy. If the system breaks down, the consequences will still be very painful, but the bigger the system grows, the more disastrous the results of its breakdown will be. So if it is to break down, it had best break down sooner rather than later. We therefore advocate a revolution against the industrial system. This revolution may or may not make use of violence. It may be sudden or it may be relatively gradual process spanning a few decades. We can't predict any of that. But we do outline in a very general way the measures that those who hate the industrial system should take in order to prepare the way for the revolution against that form of society. This is not to be a political revolution. Its objective will be to overthrow not governments, but the economic and technological basis of the present society. In this article, we give attention to only some of the negative developments that have grown out of the industrial technological system. Other such developments we mention only briefly to or ignore altogether. This does not mean that we regard these other developments as unimportant. For practical reasons, we have to confine our discussion to areas that have received insufficient public attention in which we have something new to say. For example, since there are well developed environmental and wilderness movements, we have written very little about environmental degradation or the destruction of wild nature, even though we consider these to be highly important.
Doesn't I mean like what is it with these freaking narcissistic like asses that fucking just keep talking around in goddamn circles? Just get to the
Right.
fucking point.
I mean,
Well, the thing is when he talks about the suffering that the Industrial Revolution has brought on people, and the indignity, try telling that to, I don't know, people that were forced to march in the streets naked while being
Exactly.
flogged on the way to like the stops, or having to wear the letter A for adultery,
or having it burn into your face. Stuff like that.
having it burn into your face. Tell me about that kind of stuff. Tell me about the fact that now I don't die from diarrhea. I can go down to the local store at the corner and buy something if I were to get some kind of food poisoning or something
like
to
my-
save
sorry, I'm reading
myself.
some of this right now, and I'm
Can I
like, whoa.
Look, if you've had some of the tacos I've had over here lately, you might die from the diarrhea.
I'm just saying, he's just saying this to suit his
know.
purpose, and he's referring to himself as we. He was a revolution of one man.
Yeah.
That's how it always
It's the
is.
royal we.
A revolution of one. Woo!
Check this out. So I'm reading through some of them. Some of them I really can't even say. But when he refers to the feelings of inferiority, by feelings of inferiority, we mean not only inferiority feelings in the strict sense, but a whole spectrum of related traits: low self-esteem, feelings of powerlessness, depressive tendencies, defeatism, guilt, self-hatred, etc. We argue that modern leftists tend to have some such feelings, possibly more or less repressed, and that these feelings are decisive in determining the direction of modern leftism. Now, I'm going to scroll down because
is he like does it sound like he wants to just go off? He wants to be like the leader of the left, basically just to teach him how to be the left. Is that what I'm kind of getting?
I don't know. I don't even think he knew what he was trying to do.
dude, so many leftists
He just liked to blow things up.
This is crazy, literally. And so
hey, in a minute, can you bring up that comment by Nadine, because she did make a point, and I'm not saying that some of the things he wasn't talking about. Yes, there may be some small seeds of truth.
Yeah. Apply what he's saying to artificial intelligence. Oh no, I definitely.
Mm-hmm. And people spend entirely too much time on social media. The internet, the information is entirely too much in people's business. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, that I can agree with, but to say that the Industrial Revolution that brought us out of living in like wooden huts and having electricity and running water, and the fact that we can cure a lot of childhood diseases, I'm sorry, I cannot go along with that.
Yeah.
Check this out.
Exactly.
Feminists are desperately anxious to prove that women are as strong and as capable as men. No. Clearly, they are nagged by a fear that women may not be as strong and as capable as men.
Did he just tell you guys to calm down?
Yeah, basically.
I think he tried to mansplain to me something.
He just totally mansplained.
He's all, look, ladies, you guys just need to calm down, okay?
Look,
please calm down.
I will tell you, there is a reason there are males and there are females. And one of the things is females physically,
vaginas.
Well, that's because we do, guys. We had this conversation today. We need to stop all this inviting. We all came from the same place. A vagina.
Yes, a vagina. This was a discussion that Mother de la Mort, myself, and Ash had. We were talking about there is no race. We are the human race. And we all
are the human race.
From the same place.
The vagina.
Hey, do you think we're gonna have enough people for Hands Across America this year? Huh, guys?
Dicks out for Harambe.
Dicks out for Harambe, man.
Check this out. Check this one out.
Have you guys seen Cyber Harambe? He's fucking amazing.
Well, John brings up a good point too. Before the 20th century, half of all children die before adulthood.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The other half were sacrificed to Satan.
Well, because they thought they were Satan.
Or they died from taco diarrhea.
Tacos diarrhea.
Taco.
Oh God. Oh God.
Here it comes.
Oh God.
Hey Pogo.
Hey Pogo.
So wait. Ready? You guys might get a pretty good kick out of this one. I'm gonna read two of them.
Okay.
Leftists tend to hate anything that has an image of being strong, good, and successful. They hate America. They hate Western civilization. They hate white males. They hate rationality. I can't get through this without laughing. The reason that leftists give for hating the West, etc., clearly do not correspond with their real motives. They say that they hate the West because it's warlike, imperialistic, sexist, ethnocentric, and so forth. But where these same faults appear in socialist countries or in primitive cultures, the leftist finds excuses for them, or at the best, begrudgingly admits that they exist, whereas enthusiastically points out and often greatly exaggerates these faults where they appear in Western civilization. Thus, it is clear that these faults are not the leftist's real motive for hating America and the West. He hates America and the West because they are strong and successful.
So this
Words like self-confidence, self-reliance, initiative, enterprise, optimism, etc. play little role in the liberal and leftist vocabulary. The leftist is anti-individualistic, pro-collectivist. He wants society to solve everyone's problems for him, satisfy everyone's needs for them, take care of them. He is not the sort of person who has an inner sense of confidence in his ability to solve his own problems and satisfy his own needs. The leftist is antagonistic to the concept of competition because deep inside, he feels like a loser.
dun dun dun.
I know somebody that's a loser.
Yeah,
Ted
we know a
Kaczynski.
couple of them.
We know a few losers, but Ted Kaczynski takes the cake.
This
This whole circles talking, like talking in circles bullshit.
Well,
Like,
I mean, if you listen to any of them that do these types of things, I mean, my God, listen to Manson. I know that physically he didn't kill anybody,
he could
but
dance. He killed people with
he-
dance
he-
moves.
he-
He was the best.
but listen to some of his like things that, or we were talking about James Jones the other night.
yeah,
Good
oh
God
my
Almighty.
God.
Good God.
The time has come, my children.
The time to come up to it. I can't. I don't know how
To
I
do
can't-
some more smack.
to
You
do
are
some more
correct.
hoax. No,
You
that
are
didn't work.
correct. Well, it is the ramblings of Batman. Yes.
Exactly.
Actually, with the way that you said it, I thought of Jello Biafra.
I did too. I was like,
And I was like,
can we get Jello Biafra to like
it had
to
case
play?
lights, tractor tires. It was a it was a life-size Hot
He's
Wheels
got-
car for some dumb rich kid.
You're okay. Look, seriously though, he would make a good Jim Jones if they made a real movie of it. Like
But
He
that's
would.
not
He
how
was a
does.
legend in his own mind. Like, because he was so, I think that's the only thing that stopped him from having like a group of people to actually sit down and listen to his ramblings is because he couldn't stand anybody. He
Yeah.
absolutely could not stand anyone. And like, I don't know. Because if you hear his manifesto, it's like he's trying to, it's like he's teaching a class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what that's what I'm like in awe of, because the funny part is this actually sounds like some of my professors.
Well, he was a
I've
professor,
had.
for a while.
And
Yeah,
so
it
the
was
way
about
that
2
he
years,
lays
right?
this out, he actually itemizes all of these. I'm not telling you guys the numbers of each of these, but these are itemized. And he talks about, hold on, I'm going to go to the very top again. So I read pretty much I read all of the introduction. And then he talks about the psychology of modern leftism, feelings of inferiority, over socialization, the power process, surrogate activities, autonomy, sources of social problems. That's a big one. Disruption of the power process in modern society. That's a huge one.
But that's what he was trying to do, was disrupt modern society and bring the whole thing
Oh, yeah.
crashing down. And
How some
again, I
people
think that's
adjust.
in his manifesto somewhere too.
One mail bomb every 15 years.
I'm
Oh,
going
Bring
to
the whole
take the
system
my
down,
God.
right?
system down.
I can't help but read some of this one. Okay. The motives of scientists.
Oh no. You know what I wish they would have done, like with Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell? They
Is-
actually wrote out, if they would have actually rewrote his entire manifesto,
oh my
but
God.
as the tree huger bomber who's dyslexic and can't read
And
it right.
can't spell
Is it that
properly.
3,500 pages though?
No, 35,000 words.
Oh, 35,000 words. Okay.
So here we go. Science and technology provide the most important examples of surrogate activities. Some scientists claim that they are motivated by curiosity or by a desire to benefit humanity, but it is easy to see that neither of these can be the principal motive of most scientists. For curiosity, that notion is simply absurd. Most scientists work on highly specialized problems that are not the object of any normal curiosity. For example, is an astronomer, a mathematician, or an entomologist curious about the properties of, oh my God, isopropyl trimethylmethane?
Yeah.
No, and then it says, of course not.
Jesus.
Only a chemist is curious about such a thing.
He's my ex-wife.
And
What? I'm
he is-
confused. What are we talking about?
That's the same shit she
Right?
would do. She would just she would just have some random big word that she like learned the day before and just figure out how to throw in a sentence at me and me going, why are you even saying that right now?
But okay, apparently nobody, apparently an astronomer, a mathematician, or an entomologist. Of course, an entomologist is not really curious about the properties of isopropyl trimethylmethane.
I'm going to be
Because-
honest, that keeps me up at night all the time.
I know. I do think about it.
Methane? Yeah.
It's why I have not.
Isopropyl, whatever she said, it keeps me up at night.
Isopropyl trimethylmethane. The more
Exactly
I'm saying
that.
it, the better I'm getting at it. But of course, an entomologist is not going to be thinking about that because they're thinking about bugs. Okay?
Yeah.
Bugs. But apparently, only a chemist is curious about such things. And he is curious about it only because chemistry is a surrogate activity. Is the chemist curious about the appropriate classification of a new species of beetle? No.
Can we
That
just
question is of interest only to the entomologist, and he is interested in it only because entomology is his surrogate activity.
Wait a
If the
minute.
chemist and the entomologist,
Can I say this? I've got to break in and say this. Now, wasn't he a professor of mathematics? And if I'm not mistaken, when he was a professor of mathematics at Berkeley, I believe. I keep saying Harvard. He went to Harvard on a full
He went to
scholarship, I believe.
Harvard.
but he
Yeah.
graduated
At
from
Berkeley. Yeah,
He
at
went to Harvard,
Berkeley.
taught at Berkeley.
He taught at Berkeley.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
He was into some sort of obscure mathematics
Yeah.
that they finally dropped the whole curriculum because nobody was interested in it.
Well, so
They were saying his thesis though, like from was it
Oh,
Harvard?
his thesis was supposed to be
was-
really, really good,
It
though.
was really, really good, and like so few understood it, and the ones who did, it was like just so like minute. You know, like just that's how
Mhm.
out there and like how intelligent he was with math and everything. You know,
But this is going right back to I'm going to accuse everybody else of what I do.
yep.
if
That's
the
exactly what
chemist-
this is.
If the chemist and the entomologist had to exert themselves seriously to obtain the physical necessities, and if that effort exercised their abilities in an interesting way, but in some non-scientific pursuit, then they wouldn't give a damn about isopropyl trimethylmethane
Keeps me
or
up
the
at night.
classification of beetles. Suppose that lack of funds for postgraduate education had led the chemist to become an insurance broker instead of a chemist. In that case, he would have been very interested in insurance matters, but would have cared nothing about isopropyl trimethylmethane.
Yay!
I wonder if he's
In
got his
any
own tune in his
case-
head when he's doing this.
In any case, it is not normal to put into the satisfaction rather of mere curiosity.
Wait, does he do it again?
The amount of God damn it. The amount of time and effort that scientists put into their work, the curiosity explanation for scientists' motive does not stand up. The benefit, I'm not going to get into that one, but the benefit of humanity is his next explanation. And
So let me ask you. I wonder if the isopropyl blah, 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 was the last words that went across his lips in his last
Isopropyl
death rattle.
trimethylmethane. So, by the way, John, in case you haven't heard, John said he got justice. He'll spend the rest of his life in a man-made environment and never even see the natural world.
He
Well,
died.
He died. He committed suicide, apparently. He committed
He
suicide
killed
at
himself
the age
with
of
his,
81
He killed himself because he was so
4
fucking.
days ago.
He was so
Yep.
fucking boring.
Exactly.
Isopropyl trimethylmethane. And I did that without looking at it this time.
Wow. So what exactly is that?
I don't know. Let me go look it up. Hold on.
Is this how he's gonna troll us? It's just gonna be like porn.
Trimethyl.
What if it comes back as like flatworm farts?
It's just.
Here we go.
Pig farts.
That's not it. Hold on.
That's
okay. So apparently,
that's porn. Just kidding. It sounds like rubbing alcohol.
It's another word for queef.
Liquid.
Liquid.
I think it's rubbing alcohol.
It's not, but it is highly flammable. So
okay.
Pig farts.
Let's look.
Trimethylmethane is often abbreviated as TMM, and it's a chemical compound formula C4H6. It's a neutral free molecule with a unsatisfied valence bond, and is therefore a highly reactive free radical. Formally, it can be viewed as isobutanol, which is C4H8. With two
it goes back out to the big boom.
Yeah, everything. So then when you go in and look at the identifiers,
babe,
what?
For a second here, I think we're gonna be getting a letter from the FBI because we're reading his manifesto, and now we're going into chemicals on our PC.
Wait.
What is that?
Okay, I'm sorry, but this is really funny. Ready? Risk and safety. Risk codes R11. Highly flammable, irritating on the skin, very toxic to aquatic organisms, may cause long-term adverse effects in the aquatic environment. Harmful, may cause lung damage if swallowed. Vapors may cause drowsiness and dizziness. Keep container in a well-ventilated place. Keep away from sources of ignition. Do not empty into drains. Take precautionary measures against static discharge. This material and its container must be disposed of as hazardous waste. Avoid release into the environment. Refer to special instructions, safety data sheets. If swallowed, do not induce vomiting. Seek medical advice
because your head will blow up.
Show the container or label. Now, I need to reference something. He's talking about how he wants to save the environment and get rid of the industrial complex and all that shit, right? But when I read back here, very toxic to aquatic organisms, may cause long-term adverse effects in the aquatic environment. And where is it? Don't
release into the environment.
Do not release the Kraken.
Yeah. So
well, his thing is that he doesn't. It's not that he wants to save the environment right now. It's if he gets rid of all the humans or does all that stuff, it by any means necessary, it saves the environment in the future. You know,
dude, how do I have fingerprints all over my glasses?
And that's where Oddmother was saying too, that it was worse back in the dark ages. You know, and that's
maybe a little.
Yeah. Like, so you're not really helping anybody. You're not saving anything. You're just murdering everything.
You're trying to give yourself an excuse and a reason to hurt people.
Exactly.
Yeah. John, this is new. This is literally 4 days ago he killed himself.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw it, I messaged everybody and said, this is our next subject.
And I ran off thinking it was the son of Sam. And I was like, wait a minute. No, it's not.
Not the son of Sam. He can't be dead.
It's another Polish person.
Oh, must have had a screen door on a submarine or something. I'm just kidding.
What?
Wow.
So what are we doing now?
So, Odd Mama, did you have anything to add to this one, or do we want to continue in our next episode?
I don't know. I think.
Oh, has it been that long already?
It's an hour and 15 minutes.
Hour and 15 minutes.
You know
oh my gosh. Okay.
I think pretty much all we have to cover now is just his death, right? Like, and what happened.
I already covered his death. They didn't say what happened.
Oh.
All they said was that he had terminal cancer, and that he was found unresponsive
and suicided.
That they revived him because he was found around 12:30 a.m. They revived him, and he officially died at 8 a.m. on the 11th. But they are attributing it to suicide. But I have not yet read exactly why they're attributing it to suicide.
Well, it's only been 4 days, so
Yeah, we should be able to access coroner reports soon, I would think.
So that's why I said we have one more episode of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do one more because I do want to get into the MK Ultra element of it. And yeah.
Oh, so the news, see now we're at the end of the episode. So we'll come back with that in the next episode. We'll do part 2 with the MK Ultra aspect of things and all that stuff. His brother
his brother that turned him in.
Yeah, no, we'll get all into that next episode. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right too. But we had news and we were gonna show it real fast.
Yeah, we have
that's right. That's right.
That we wanted to show you. So
Good evening, this is Dick Schmickel with KTHULHU Channel 9 Breaking News. Right now we are following breaking news coming out of the Ushapurha Pines here in lovely Pickwich, Ohio. A couple currently vacationing at the campground has been reported missing within the last few hours. This makes the second couple to go missing in the nearby area within the last month. Lavinia Schmeen is live and on location at the Ushapurha Pines campground gathering the latest details.
That's right, Dick. In the last half hour, we have received word of yet another set of campers going missing in the Ushapurha Pines campground area of Pickwich. At the moment their whereabouts are still unknown, as initially reported by our beloved Mrs. Graves, spokesman of the Pickwich Visitors Center. Not much is known about the couple or what they may have been doing prior to the couple going missing. But KTHULHU Channel 9 News has obtained exclusive footage recorded by the couple sometime within the last 48 hours. This amateur footage is thought to be the last known recorded activity and location of the missing couple. Again, Dick, little is known about the missing couple or where they are from. The names of the missing couple are being withheld until possible family members are contacted. What we do know is that the couple were last seen 2 days ago outside cabin 17 where they were staying. We also know the missing couple were vacationing at the Ushapurha Pines campground after taking the wrong exit and becoming lost earlier in the week. Mrs. Graves, spokesman for the Pickwich Visitors Center, doubts they attempted to leave our friendly town, as the couple's car is still located at the cabin within the Ushapurha Pines campground. Mrs. Graves did express some concern that the missing couple may not have followed the Pickwich nightly curfew and reminds everyone that the curfew is for everyone's protection. Now back to you, Dick.
Thank you, Lavinia, for that update. Mrs. Graves, spokesman for the Pickwich Visitors Center, asks for anyone that sees the missing couple to contact the Pickwich Town Hall and Visitors Center at 513-278-7701. I'm Dick Schmickel, and this has been Breaking News with KTHULHU Channel 9 News.
Ha
Dick Schmickel.
Dick Schmickel.
Dick
and Lavinia Schmeen. What a dynamic duo of Schmickel and Schmeen.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I heard that they were fucked to death by Cthulhu geese. But
I guess that is yet to be seen.
Or a rabid wombat.
a rabid wombat.
A rabid wombat.
Just fucked to death. Hardcore.
I think those deers look very suspicious as well.
The deer looked pretty suspicious, but what looked
Didn't
even
they
more
though? They looked
suspicious
really shady.
was I believe I saw Samara in the background looking for her well to crawl back into. So I'm not sure what is going on over at Pickwitch.
I was surprised we didn't.
Like I said, you always take a buddy when you go there.
Yeah, I saw some hentai going on in the background. I don't know what happened.
Somebody took somebody to the back of the cabin.
No, my brain's all, and I promise you, I will treat you well,
Well.
my sweet angel.
Yeah.
So help me, Jesus.
All right. I think we're done.
To me.
It's time. It's time for us to go. So
All right.
next
So
episode.
long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night.
Next episode is going to be.
Do you? Do you?
Talking,
And you? And you? And you?
talking the what is it? MK Ultra aspect of this.
Yes. Yes.
Also, guys, any of the links and stuff like that, you can any of the stuff, just look at the description.
Also,
Okay.
above Mother
Yeah.
de la Mort, there's that QR code.
I think I've got to actually go this way for it to play right. Am I
Yes.
pointing at it?
Yep,
Yes.
you are.
Okay, so it's opposite.
It's
Yeah.
the
'Cause I see it here.
You did it. No, now you did. Yeah, yeah. Now we're back. Yeah.
opposite.
And all our links are in our descriptions right there.
YMCA.
Even the Spotify link is
Thank
there. Everything,
you.
all that stuff is there.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, and we need one more person for our Twitch.
Go over.
Yes.
P_underscore
John, John, are you on Twitch? Have
underscore
you subscribed to our Twitch?
collective.
Yes, I am putting you on the spot.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do
now.
it.
It's
Do
the
it
PBDC
now.
collective on Twitch. Just go do it.
Do
All right.
it. All right. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.